everyone, I'm Princess Kyla Maydugay and my topic is the introduction to ASEAN regionalism. First, what is regionalism? Regionalism can be defined as an arrangement between countries within the same geographical area to facilitate the free flow of goods and services, to coordinate foreign policies, to encourage trade and businesses. Ito ay isang pagsasaayos sa pagitan ng mga bansa sa loob ng parehong geographical na lugar upang mapadali ang malayang daloy ng produkto at serbisyo at pag-ugnayin ng mga patakarang panlabas upang hikayatin ang kalakalan at negosyo. What is the purpose of regionalism? Regionalism encourage local governments to pool resources, talent, and effort. Ang pakikipagtulungan sa ganitong paraan ay lumilikha ng mas mabisang pagpaplano na maaring makilahok ang lahat ng pamahalaan, malaki man o maliit. Lumilikha din ito ng mas malaking budget upang makapaghatid ng mas maayos na resulta. Let us now proceed to regionalization. Regionalization ay isang proseso na kahanay ng globalisasyon, kung saan ang malalaking rehiyon ay nahahati sa mas maliliit na rehiyon, lugar at distrito. And last is the region. What is regions? Regions ay mga pangkat ng mga bansang matatagpuan sa parehong lugar na tinukoy ayon sa heograpiya na nakaayos upang ayusin at pangasiwaan ang mga daloy at mga pagpipilian sa patakaran.
I'm Obrilyn Elizalde and this is my report. What is Asian regionalism? I will delve into the concept of Asian regionalism, a dynamic process where countries in Asia collaboratively engage to foster cooperation, integration, and shared interests within the region. This phenomenon is exemplified by the establishment of regional organizations and agreements that aim to enhance economic, political, and social collaboration among Asian nations. One notable example of Asian regionalism is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, founded with the goal of promoting regional stability and economic development. ASEAN has played a pivotal role in fostering dialogue and cooperation among its member states. Through mechanisms such as the ASEAN Free Trade Area, or AFTA, and the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, countries in the region work together to facilitate trade, investment, and mutual development. Additionally, Asian regionalism extends beyond Southeast Asia to include initiatives like the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, or SAARC, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO. These endeavors highlight the diverse approach to collaboration within the vast and culturally rich Asian continent. By exploring Asian regionalism, my report aims to shed light on the significance of regional cooperation and in addressing shared challenges, promoting economic growth, and fostering diplomatic ties among nations in Asia. This examination will provide valuable insights into the complexities and opportunities inherent in the pursuit of regional integration in the ASEAN context. What is an example of regionalism? In the content of my report, I will elucidate the concept of regionalism, an essential aspect of international relations characterized by neighboring countries coming together to foster cooperation, integration, and the pursuit of shared interests within a specific geographic area. Regionalism manifests through the establishment of regional organizations and agreements, facilitating collective efforts to address common challenges, stimulate economic development, and strengthen diplomatic ties among participating nations. A prime example of regionalism is the European Union, or EU, where European countries pool sovereignty to achieve common objectives in areas such as trade, security, and policy making. Similarly, in Southeast Asia, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, exemplifies regionalism. Through initiatives like the ASEAN Economics Community or AEC and the ASEAN Free Trade Area or AFTA, member states collaborate to enhance economic growth, promote stability, and address regional issues collectively. This report aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of regionalism, exploring its manifestations, benefits, and challenges. By examining examples like the EU or European Union and ASEAN, we can gain insights into how regional cooperation contributes to shared prosperity and the cultivation of diplomatic relations within specific geographic regions.
Good day everyone, I'm Joanna S. Espinosilia and my topic is characterizing post-Cold War international relations. Countries tend to rely on global platforms such as the United Nations in resolving regional conflicts, thus paving the way for the emergence of peacekeeping initiatives and regional trade alliances. Sa kasalukuyang yugto ng pandaigdigang relasyon matapos ang Cold War, nakikita natin ang pagmamay-ari ng mga bansa sa mga pandaigdigang plataporma tulad ng United Nations upang malutas ang mga alitang rehiyonal na nagbubukas daan sa pag-usbong ng mga inisyatibong pangkapayapaan at pook komersyon sa rehiyon. Nations nowadays become more aggregable as indicated by less profound armed conflicts and wars among nations. Conflicts between nations are still present. Example, territorial disputes. These territorial disputes have implications on assertion of political powers in a certain region. In the past, conflicts could have been resolved outright by bloody wars. But in the contemporary world, nations are using diplomatic means to mitigate the possibility of wars. Ang mga bansa ngayon ay mas nagiging maunawain na ipinakikita sa mga kaunting malalim na armadong tunggalian at digmaan sa pagitan ng mga bansa. Bagaman, may mga alitang nagaganap pa rin sa pagitan ng mga bansa tulad ng mga teritorial na alitan. May implikasyon ito sa pagsusuri ng pampulitikang kapangyarihan sa isang partikular na rehiyon. Noon, maaaring malutas ang mga alitan sa pamamagitan ng marahas na digmaan, ngunit sa kasalukuyang mundo, gumagamit ang mga bansa ng diplomasya upang maibsan ang posibilidad ng gulo. So, here are the examples of existing territorial conflicts. Number 1 is South China Sea territorial disputes covering islands and reefs, China versus several nations including the Philippines. South China Sea. Ito ay ang alitang pang-teritoryo na kumukubli sa mga isla at bahura, China versus maraming bansa kasama ang Pilipinas. Number 2, Senkaku, Diaoyu Islands, East China Sea, China versus Japan. Number 3, Korean Peninsula, North Korea versus South Korea. 4. Israel-Palestine conflict. 5. Lakda territory, India versus Pakistan versus China. And the last is Preah-Vihear, Thailand versus Cambodia.
Hello everyone, I'm Jasmine J. Gallardo and I'm assigned to report the characterizing post-Cold War international relations. Emerge of regional cooperation among countries to achieve political and economic goals. Countries have become more open to collaborate with other countries in terms of economic and human development. Example, economic development. Grants, loan, development assistance. Ang economic development ay ito yung nagbibigay ng development assistance or nagpapautang sa mga bansang nangangailangan. Human development. Scholarship, cultural exchange, people-to-people interaction. At ang human development, ito yung nagbibigay ng scholarship sa mga estudyanteng may hirap sa bansa. Let's proceed to advantages and disadvantages of regionalism. What are the advantages and disadvantages of regionalism? Ang regionalism ay mayroong mga advantages at disadvantages. So, advantages. 1. Solves large and complex issues. Nakakatulong ito sa pagresolba ng malalaki at komplikadong mga issue. 2. Improves quality of life. Nagpapabuti ito sa kalidad ng buhay. Improves efficiency and effectiveness. Nagpapataas ito ng kahusayan at epektibidad. Helps the growth of region. Tumutulong ito sa paglago ng rehiyon. Exercise leadership. Nagbibigay ito ng pagkakataon para magpakita ng liderato. So, let's proceed to disadvantages. 1. Identity crisis. Maaring magkaroon ng identity crisis sa mga rehiyon. 2. Financial setbacks. Maaaring magdulot ito ng mga problemang pinansyal. 3. High economic and environmental risks. Mataas ang panganib sa ekonomiya at kapaligiran. Sa pangkalahatan, ang regionalism ay may mga positibo epekto, ngunit may mga hamon din na kailangan malampasan.
Hello everyone, I am Irish F. Gamazon and I will discuss to you what are the factors of regionalism. It refers to affinity of people to their specific area or region which has its own government, different customs and religious practices, and etc. It based on diversity of languages, culture, tribes, and religions. It is encouraged by the geographical concentration of these identity markets in particular regions and fueled by a sense of regional deprivation. It depends also on the historical formation or administration of a region. Sinasabi rito na many factors of regionalism na tumutukoy sa pagkakaugnay ng mga tao sa particular na lugar o rehiyon. Ito ay nakabatay sa pagkakaiba ng mga wika, kultura at iba pa. But there is some factors of regionalism that I would like to share with you. Una ay ang trade. The world economy is intertwined with each other whether we like it or not. We all want or need something from another part of the world, including global trade facilities. These nations can readily supply each other needs. Sinasabi rito na ang pag-asa sa isa't isa na ito ay nagpapaunlad ng kooperasyong pang-ekonomiya at nagpapadali sa pagpapalitan ng mga mapagkukunan. Pagpapaunlad ng isang mas mahusay na paglaan ng mga pandaigdigang mapagkukunan at pagpapahusay ng pangkalahatang kaunlaran ng ekonomiya. Ang mga pasilidad ng pandaigdigang kalakalan tulad ng mga network ng pagpapadala at komunikasyon ay gumaganap ng isang mahalagang papel sa pagbibigay daan sa mga bansa na madaling matugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng bawat isa at mapanatili ang masalimuot na web ng mga international na relasyon sa ekonomiya. At ang pangalawa naman ay similar culture. The culture of Asia are diverse but they do share many things. This makes an easier fit during times of negotiations. It says here na Sinasabi rito na a common thread across many Asian cultures is a strong emphasis on respect for elders and instructors. This shared value can facilitate smoother negotiations as it establishes a foundation for mutual understanding and cooperation. And the third is the common goals. The Asian region recognizes the mutual benefit of a slow integration, and that is to accelerate the economic growth, social progress, and cultural development, and to promote peace. The examples is, ang example nito is aims to promote peace, closer ties, and cooperation between countries in the region. Such an integration process aims to strengthen their capacity to face the challenges of globalization and to succeed as a collective force.
Hey everyone, I am Rachel Jane Gamboa and my topic is all about how does regionalism affect globalization? So, paano nga ba nakaka-apekto ang regionalization sa globalization? Globalization, it acts as a facilitator to globalization economy. So, we have here three possible questions regarding the mutual relation between regionalization and globalization, especially in the dimensions. Una, regionalization as a component of globalization or yung tinatawag nating convergent trends. Regionalization refers to the process of countries or regions coming together to form closer economic, political, and cultural ties within a specific geographic area. It can be seen as a component of globalization because it involves the integration and cooperation of neighboring countries or regions. In this context, convergent trends highlight how regionalization and globalization work hand in hand. As globalization expands and connects different parts of the world, regionalization emerged as a response to the need for closer collaboration within a specific region. This convergence leads to the formation of regional organization and agreements that promote economic integration, trade facilitation, and cultural exchange among neighboring countries. Pangalawa, regionalization as a challenge or response to the globalization. Ito naman yung tinatawag nating divergent trends. On the other hand, regionalization can also be viewed as a challenge or response to globalization. Divergent trends arise when countries or regions prioritize their regional interests and identities over global integration. In some cases, regionalization may be seen as a way to protect local industries, preserve cultural heritage, or address specific regional challenges. This can lead to the establishment of regional trade blocs or agreements that aim to shield member countries from the potential negative impacts of globalization. Pangatlo, regionalization and globalization as parallel processes. Ito naman yung tinatawag nating overlapping trends. Lastly, regionalization and globalization can be seen as parallel processes with overlapping trends, while globalization promotes interconnectedness and interdependence on global scale. Regionalization focuses on strengthening ties within a specific region. These processes can complement each other as regional integration can enhance a country's ability to participate in global markets and benefit from global economic trends. At the same time, globalization can provide opportunities for regional economies to expand their reach and engage with the global community. Overall, regionalization and globalization are complex and intertwined concepts with convergent, divergent, and overlapping trends that reflect the diverse ways in which countries and regions respond to the forces of globalization. So, how do regionalization and globalization related to each other? Globalization and regionalization process have dual nature. The main lines of these processes will be defined coherence, interdependence, or contradiction, and that depends on what tendencies in the relation between participants of these processes prevail, rivalry, or cooperations. Effects of regionalization. A. Provincial improvement. Regionalization can lead to improvements at the provincial level as it encourages collaboration and resource sharing among neighboring provinces. This can result in enhanced infrastructure, better public services, and increased development opportunities for local communities. B. Growth of domestic products. Regionalization often promotes the growth of domestic products within a specific region. By fostering closer economic integration, regionalization can create a market for local goods and services, leading to increased production, trade, and economic growth. C. Organizer training system. Regionalization can also contribute to the development of organizing training systems. As regions work together to address common challenges and pursue shared goals, they may establish training programs and initiatives to enhance the skills and capabilities of organizers in areas such as trade, tourism, and cultural exchange. Opportunities of regionalization. MSME, or micro, small, and medium enterprises. Regionalization can provide opportunities for MSME to thrive by creating a larger market within the region. This can lead to increased businesses opportunities, job creation, and economic growth at the local level. Increase in profit. With regional integration, businesses can tap into a larger consumer base that expand their market reach. This can result in increased profits and business growth for companies operating within the region. Preservation of culture and traditions. Regionalization can help preserve and promote the unique culture and traditions of a specific region by fostering cultural exchange and cooperation. Regionalization can contribute to the preservation of local heritage and identity. Demand for high quality of life. Regionalization can create opportunities for improved standards of living. As closer, regional cooperation can lead to better access to resources, infrastructure development, and enhanced public services. Challenge of regionalization. Monopolized system. In some cases, regionalization can lead to the concentration of power and resources in the hands of a few dominant players, resulting in a monopolistic system that may hinder fair competition and limit opportunities for smaller businesses. Can't offer aid to another. Regionalization may also pose challenges in terms of providing aid or support to regions outside of the established regional blocks. This can limit the ability of regions to extend assistance to areas facing economic or social difficulties. Less support from the national government. Regionalization may shift focus and resources away from the national government, potentially leading to reduced support and attention for regions that are not part of the establishment.
Hi, I'm Inder Gillian. My topic is, what is the difference of regionalism and globalization? Globalization is the word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and population brought about by cross-border trade in goods and service technology and flows of investment, people, and information. Globalization changed the way nations, businesses, and people interact. Especially, it changed the nature of economic activity among nations. Expanding trade, opening global supply chains, and providing access to natural resources and level markets. Regionalism. Regionalism is the practice of coordination, social, economic, or political activities within a geographical region comprising a number of states. They also focus to texts that concentrate heavily on specific, unique features of a certain region, including dialect, costume, tradition, photography, history, and characters. It focuses on the formal and the informal, analyzing the attitudes characters have toward one another. They are community as whole. It seeks to achieve legacy for definition of boundaries and obtain approval for this definition in cultural and political and popular and official understanding. What is the difference of regionalism and globalization? Globalization promotes the integration of economies worldwide, but regionalization tends to oppose integration and bring definition. What is the difference between globalization and regionalism? Globalization affects economic, political process at the global level, but regionalization involves first of all consideration of various events, the needs of specific areas of the countries. What is the meaning of globalization? A term used to describe how trade and technology have made the world into more connected and interdependent place. Good example of regionalism: the perceived difference between Southerners and New Englanders. What's the difference of regionalism? Regionalism is defined as the political goal of certain a legally binding agreement between states on a geographical United States. What causes globalization? The growth of transport, trade, technology, and communication, the growth and function of the TNC, and the action of governments of organizations.
Good day everyone, my name is RJ Lagak and this is my topic, what is regionalism in the Philippines? The Philippines regionalism can be traced back to its history and geography. Water separates the Philippines from the rest of Asia. There are roughly 7,000 islands and islets in this archipelago. The Philippine population is 76.6 million people. According to the Philippine National Statistics Office 2000, over the half of the population, 50% lives in cities. The Malay people make up the majority of the Christian Malays, account for 91.5% of Filipinos. Today, whereas Muslim Malays make up barely 4% of the population. 1998 World Factbook CIA.
My name is Jaymar Valencia Lindayo and I will discuss the evolution of Asian regionalism. In order to understand the ideas of regionalism in Asia and speculate about the future of Asian regionalism, it will be most helpful for us to trace the evolution of Asian regionalism using four benchmarks in 1968, in 1998, 1989, 1997, and 2000 by Shirashi in 2011. The evolution of Asian regionalism in 1968, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations was born with 5 original members: Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. The primary goal of ASEAN, as far as the United States and its friends were concerned, was to consolidate Southeast Asia against communism, which was raging in the form of the Vietnam War. Its focus was on security. Ano ba ang ASEAN noong 1968? Noong 1968, nagkaroon ng isang mahalagang pangyayari na nakakatulong sa pagbuo ng ASEAN regionalism. Ito ay ang pagtatag ng Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN. Ang ASEAN ay binubuo ng mga bansa sa Timog Silangang Asya na nagkakaisa upang palakasin ang ugnayan at kooperasyon sa relihiyon sa pamamagitan ng pagsama-sama sa mga bansa ng ASEAN. Nagkaroon ng pagkakataon para sa mga bansa na magkaroon ng mas malalim na ugnayan at magtulungan sa mga issue ng rehiyon na kahalagahan nito ay ito ay naging pundasyon ng ASEAN regionalism noong panahong iyon. Ang Vietnam War ay isa itong pangunahing salik na nagtulak sa pagtatag ng ASEAN. Noong panahong iyon, ang mga bansang kasapi ng ASEAN ay nais magkaroon ng isang relihiyonal na organisasyon upang mapangalagaan ang kapayapaan at seguridad sa Timog Silangang Asya. Ano ba ang Vietnam War noong 1968? Ay ang Tet Offensive ay isang malawakang at biglaang atake ng mga piyersa ng North Vietnam at ang kanilang mga kaalyado sa South Vietnam noong 1968. Sa panahong iyon, sinurpresa nila ang mga pwersa ng Estados Unidos at South Vietnam sa pamamagitan ng pagsalakay sa mga lungsod at militar na kampo. Ang layunin nila ay pabagsakin ang gobyerno ng South Vietnam at labanan ang mga pwersa ng United States. Ito ay naging isang mahalagang yugto sa digmaan ng Vietnam at nagdulot ng malaking epekto sa takbo ng digmaan at sa mga pananaw ng mga tao sa labanan. Okay. The ASEAN was outgrowth of the stillborn SEATO idea, which to envisage as the type of Asian NATO or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Against Communism. Ano ba ang SEATO or ang Southeast Asia Treaty Organization? Ito ay isa itong organisasyon na pangseguridad na itinatag noong 1954. Ang layunin nito ay magkaroon ng kolektibong dispensa laban sa komunismo sa relihiyon ng Timog Silangang Asya. Ang mga kasapi ng sito ay kinabibilangan ng mga bansa tulad ng United States, Philippines, Thailand at iba pa. Gayunpaman, ang sito ay hindi gaano naging epektibo sa pagtugon ng mga hamon sa relihiyon at unti-unti nawala ang kanyang bisa. Kaya tinatag noong 1968 ang Asian Association of Southeast Asian Nation. So, dumako naman tayo sa the evolution of Asian regionalism in 1989. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC meeting was institutionalized with the goal of monitoring and analyzing regional markets and institutions as well as governing rules and norms for facilitating transparent and introduction the idea of Asian regionalism 167 efficient business transaction in region. It focused the economic and its style was technocratic. It was a sense of growth of the idea of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Mechanism envisaged by Saburo Okita and John Crawford in the 1960 and 1970. In 1960, the APEC was born in the United States. Strong support. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or the APEC ay tinatag noong 1989 bilang isang organisasyon na nakatuon sa economic cooperation sa relihiyon. Layunin nito ay ang pagsubaybay sa mga merkado at institusyon, pati na rin ang pagpapadali ng mga epektibong transaksyon sa negosyo. Malaking suporta ang ibinigay ng ng United States sa pagtatag ng APEC. So, punta naman tayo sa the evolution of Asian regionalism in 1997. The ASEAN Plus 3 or yung Japan, Korea, and China was instituted. Japan, Korea, and China were a major economic engines. Both the ASEAN and the three wanted to benefit from being close each other. No less important was consideration to help the three talk to each other regularly and without too much fees. The three were at odds when they came together as a trial because they are instances on face rank politics before they even reach the negotiation table. For example, during negotiation, it was necessary to use a room with 3 entrance and desks for triangular shape. Ang gusto kasi ng ASEAN na makipag-ugnayan at makipagtulungan sa tatlong bansang ito, yung Japan, Korea at China. Dahil nga sa mga potential na benepisyo na maaaring maidulot nito bilang malalaking ekonomiya, ang Japan, Korea at China ay mga malalaking papel sa relihiyon at sa pandaigdigang ekonomiya. Sa pamamagitan ng pagkaroon ng mas malapit na ugnayan at kooperasyon sa mga bansang ito, maraming nagkaroon ng mas malawak na oportunidad sa kalakalan, investasyon at iba pang aspeto ng pag-unlad ng mga bansa sa ASEAN. Ang layunin ng ASEAN at 3 ay mapalakas ang relihiyon at integrasyon at pagkakaisa para sa kabutihan ng mga kasapi nito. Nagkaroon din ng mga ilang territorial at alitan ang mga bansang Japan, Korea at China. Halimbawa, ang Japan at China ay may mga hindi pagkakasunduan tungkol sa mga islang tinatawag na Senkaku sa Japan, at Ryukyu sa China noong 1970. Sa kabilang banda, ang South Korea at Japan naman ay may mga issue sa mga islang tinatawag na Dokku sa South Korea at Takeshima sa Japan. Noong 1950 to 1960, ang territorial na mga alitan ito ay nagdulot ng tensyon at hindi pagkakasunduan sa pamamagitan.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kisas M. Hinag, and my topic for today is all about Asian regionalism. In the 20s, the tide of globalization swept through East and Southeast Asia. As the rest of the world, the three registered more than 50% of their total trade as interregional. This is Japan, Korea, and China. By the early 20s, Japan and China competed over how to adapt to the relentless tide of globalization via the politics of membership, that is China's insistence on the ASEAN Plus 3 formula versus Japan's new proposal from the ASEAN Plus 6. This is Japan, Korea, China, India, Australia, and New Zealand, now labeled the East Asian Summit. Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Noong 20s, ang daloy ng globalisasyon ay sumakop sa silangang at timog silangang Asya, pati na rin ang iba pang bahagi ng mundo. Ang tatlong bansa ay ang Japan, Korea at China, ay nagrehistro ng higit sa 50% ng kanilang kabuuang kalakalan bilang intra-regional. Ibig sabihin sa pagitan ng mga bansang Japan, Korea at China. Noong maagang bahagi ng 20s, nagkaroon ng kompetisyon sa pagitan ng Japan at China sa kung paano mag-aayos sa walang tigil na daloy ng globalisasyon sa pamamagitan ng politika ng pagiging miyembro, tulad ng pagsusumikap ng China na magkaroon ng ASEAN Plus 3 formula kumpara sa bagong panukalang inihain ng Japan na magkaroon ng ASEAN Plus 6. This is Japan, Korea, China, India, Australia, at New Zealand, na ngayon ay tinatawag na East Asian Summit. Halimbawa, ang Japan at China ay nagtatalo kung aling formula ang mas angkop sa pagharap sa globalisasyon. Ang China ay naniniwala na dapat isama ang Association of Southeast Asian Plus 3 formula, samantalang ang Japan ay nagbungkahi ng ASEAN Plus 6 formula. Okay, so let's proceed to intra-regional movement. So, what is intra-regional movement? It means that moving within the same region. Example, if Benny lives in Northern California and decides to take a job in Southern California, he will be making an intra-regional movement. So, that means of intra-regional movement. Isang halimbawa sa paksa na ito ay ang labanan ng Hapon at China para sa impluensya ng rehiyon sa pamamagitan ng pagtanggap ng mga bansa bilang miyembro ng mga pangkat tulad ng ASEAN Plus 3 o ASEAN Plus 6. Naglalayon ang mga bansang ito na palakasin ang kanilang ugnayan sa mga kalapit na bansa at higit na makisali sa pandaigdigang ekonomiya. Ang mga pagpapasyang ito ay nagpapakita ng mga pagsisikap ng mga bansa na makipagkumpetensya at makipag-ugnayan sa gitna ng pagbabago at pag-unlad ng globalisasyon. Okay, so let's proceed in 2010. 2010, the East Asian Summit decided to add 2 more members, the United States and Russia. This has initiated a new phase for Asian regionalism. The regionalism surrounding the big Northeast Asian tree is becoming more comprehensive. In 2006, the Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP) proposal was inaugurated as an economic partnership agreement among small Asia Pacific
countries such as Singapore. The TPP grew 2010 into a large and ambitious framework to liberalize economic transactions in the Asia-Pacific through adding new members, including the United States, Australia, and some other countries. Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Noong 2010, nagpasya ang East Asian Summit na magdagdag ng 2 miyembro. Ito ay ang Estados Unidos at Russia. Ito ay nagbukas ng isang bagong yugto para sa regionalismo sa Asia. Ang regionalismo na naglilibot sa malalaking bansa sa silangang Asia ay nagiging mas malawak at komprehensibo. Noong 2006, sinimulan ang Trans-Pacific Partnership or TPP bilang isang kasunduan sa ekonomiya sa pagitan ng mga maliit na bansa Asia-Pacific tulad ng Singapore. Sa paglipas ng panahon, ang TPP or Trans-Pacific Partnership ay lumaki at naging isang malaki at ambisyosong balangkas upang paluwagin ang transaksyon sa ekonomiya sa Asia-Pacific sa pamamagitan ng pagdagdag ng mga bagong miyembro, kabilang ang Estados Unidos at Australia at iba pang mga bansa. Halimbawa ng pag-unlad na ito ay ang pagkakaroon ng Estados Unidos at Russia bilang miyembro ng East Asian Summit. Sa pamamagitan ng pagiging miyembro ng 2 malalaking bansa na ito, nagiging mas malawak at mas malalim ang ugnayan at kooperasyon sa rehiyon ng Asia. Ang pagkakaroon ng Estados Unidos at Russia bilang kasapi at nagpapakita ng pagkilala sa kanilang papel at impluensya sa rehiyon. Isa pang halimbawa nito ay ang paglaki ng TPP mula sa isang kasunduan sa pagitan ng mga maliit na bansa tulad ng Singapore, tungo sa isang malawak at ambisyosong balangkas. Sa pamamagitan ng pagdaragdag ng mga malalaking bansa tulad ng Estados Unidos at Australia at iba pang mga kasapi, ang TPP or Trans-Pacific Partnership ay naglalayong paluwagin ang mga transaksyon sa ekonomiya sa Asia-Pacific. Ito ay nagbubukas ng mga oportunidad para sa malawakang kalakalan, pagpapalakas ng ekonomiya, at pagkakaroon ng mas malalim na ugnayan sa pagitan ng mga bansa sa rehiyon. Okay, so let's proceed again to the year 2010. The year 2010 was also marked by the vigorous and deep advances into the region by two giants, China and the United States. China engaged in the assertive and largely unilateral actions in the region, such as maritime security trusts in the East China, South China, and Bengal Seas, resource exploitation in Myanmar, Vietnam, India, and Indonesia, and investment in business firms in Korea and Japan. The United States decided to depart from its ambiguity strategy to focus on an engagement strategy. The United States has inaugurated and/or consolidated security dialogues and military exchanges with India, Indonesia, and Vietnam with a big package of scientific, technological, military, and energy components. It's clear that by 2010, the stage was set for a new evolution of Asian regionalism. Noong taong 2010, naging malakas at malalim ang pag-usbong ng 2 malalaking bansa sa rehiyon, ang China at Estados Unidos. Ang China ay nagsagawa ng mga matapang at karamihang unilateral na aksyon sa rehiyon, tulad ng pagpapalakas ng seguridad sa mga karagatang East China, South China at Bengal. Pagsasamantala sa mga likas na yaman sa Myanmar, Vietnam, India at Indonesia. At pamumuhunan sa mga negosyong kumpanya sa Korea at Hapon. Samantala, nagpasya ang Estados Unidos na lumayo sa kanilang ambiguidad na estratehiya at mag-focus sa isang estratehiyang pakikilahok. Itinatag at pinagtibay ng Estados Unidos ang mga dialogo sa seguridad at palitan ng militar sa India, Indonesia at Vietnam na may kasamang malaking pakete ng mga komponente sa agham, teknolohiya, militar at enerhiya. Malinaw na noong 2010, ang entablado ay handa para sa isang bagong pagunlad ng regionalismo sa Asya. Halimbawa, ang China ay nagpadala ng mga barko ng militar sa mga teritoryo sa South China Sea na kinakasangkutan ng mga isla at bahura na pinag-aagawan ng iba't ibang bansa sa rehiyon. At isang pang halimbawa ay kung ang China ay nagtatayo ng mga estruktura sa mga isla sa South China Sea upang magamit ito bilang mga base militar at pang-ekonomiyang pasilidad. Ang mga halimbawa na ito ay nagpapakita ng mga hakbang na ginawa ng China at Estados Unidos upang palakasin ang kanilang impluensya at interes sa rehiyon ng Asya noong 2010.